think we have to get a one zone because is that right? The two section, you can't come back. Is that right? I can't remember. Now, what did I do with my ticket that I just bought? I'm sure I put it in a safe spot, right?
Pocket in your shirt pocket?
Shirt pocket? That would have been fine. No. I'll just get another ticket. This has been an interesting concept. I'm James, by the way.
Hi, James.
I am standing on the Men's Street Jetty in South Perth. And I'm joined by...
Emily Lester.
Who are you, Emily?
I'm a marine scientist at the University of Western Australia.
Oh my God, a marine scientist. Okay.
I was thinking about what to call myself, but I went with marine scientist in the end.
Yeah. You probably get this all the time, but there's a whole Seinfeld episode called The Marine Biologist.
Is there a marine biologist? I have a print of that on my desk.
Okay. Is that a different job or is it a similar thing?
I think it would be a similar thing. I think there's lots of different names for what we do.
I'm trying to do the most ridiculous interview with you ever, where we're podcasting on a jetty and we're about to get on a ferry to take the boat to the other side of the Swan River. Now, what did I do with my ticket that I just bought?
Uh-oh.
Emily, you have a British accent?
I do. Lots of people tell me I've lost it, so I'm glad you could pick it up. But I've been in Australia for about 9 years now. I was meant to come for a year to do my Masters, and I just haven't left.
And you're doing your Masters, so you were doing it, studying in England?
Yes, I was studying in the UK. I did my undergrad at the University of York, which is in the UK. And then I decided to come to Australia to study marine science for my Masters.
Hey guys. Thanks a lot. I just want to sit at the front.
At the front.
Yeah. Just further away from the engines. Yeah, we just jumped on the ferry and we got a seat at the front of the ferry. Do you ever take the ferry much?
No, I can't say I do, but I should. It's lovely.
I looked you up online and it was like, hey, Emily's taken over the UWA
oh gosh
Instagram page for marine science or something, and it's just like, check out my life on a boat.
Yeah, that is my life 5% of the time. I don't live on a boat, unfortunately.
No. Wow.
But whenever we get into the field, we like to show everyone, because it's only 5% of our time, but it is the best time we ever have. And then the rest of the year we're in front of a computer doing the analysis, writing the papers, and wishing we were back in the field.
Yeah, I've had a few friends who do PhDs and it's like, come and help me climb a tree. And I'm like, oh, you do this all the time? It's like, no. And I talked to them 5 years later. I'm still studying what I climbed up that tree to do. Like, with the data. I'm still looking at the data.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That is definitely the way it happens, yeah.
I looked up what you're studying, but I figured it's probably better for you to explain what you do, what your expertise is in.
Sure. I'm interested in a few things. The first of them is behaviour. I'm really interested in how species interact. So things like predator-prey interactions and competition, and whether these are a driving force in ecosystems. And so for marine science, that is sharks and how they interact with their prey, and whether sharks can alter the behaviour of prey by installing fear in them, I guess.
Yeah.
And so when sharks are around, prey species change their behaviour because they're scared, and I think that's a really important ecological force.
I should probably get all the stupid questions out of the way, but I definitely changed my behaviour about swimming in the ocean because I don't want to be eaten by a shark.
I think most people do.
By just trying to do it. I prefer to swim in a river or a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Although, this is actually my top thing I had on my list of questions. We're on the Swan River, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there are apparently sharks.
Yeah, bull sharks.
Okay.
I won't go diving here at night because of the bull sharks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've seen a juvenile
you.
one. Oh, if you're very unlucky. the chances are very, very slim. But yeah, there are sharks around in the river, and I guess you could get unlucky one day.
For people unfamiliar with Perth, like probably most people who listen to this, we're on the Swan River, and we're probably quite a few kilometres in, not that far away from the ocean, but the river winds around a bit, so we're probably quite a few k's up. But I had heard people see bull sharks up as far as here.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Is this their native environment, or they just get curious?
That's a good question. There's lots we don't know about sharks, and bull sharks is not something I study, but I do know that they can survive in estuarine environments and rivers and the oceans. So that sort of flexibility is really amazing.
Awesome.
Something I don't know that much about, I'm afraid.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's all right.
No, I saw a bullfrog and bull shark, not a bullfrog, on your on one of your pages, and I'm like, I wonder if she knows anything about them, because I've always been curious about whether they lived here or they just. Because sometimes you get curious animals just coming up the river and seeing what's going on. Like I see dolphins up here.
Yeah, dolphins will come up here too.
Yeah.
All the highly migratory stuff, all the really mobile stuff will be around.
What were you studying in England?
England, I was studying just straight biology, so it was really nice and broad. I got to try a little bit of everything, a little bit of ecology, a little bit of biochemistry, and a little bit of genetics. And I volunteered to basically go abroad and volunteer for some coral reef research in Indonesia, and I stayed out there for a month and just fell in love with marine science. So when I came back,
So you went to Indonesia for fun?
I guess it was more a volunteer scheme,
okay.
Where you raise lots of money and...
Okay, so it wasn't like an exchange, like, hey, do a semester in Indonesia?
Yeah, it was sort of like that, but...
Do you get credits for it?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, you get credits for it, and you get to help out other researchers with their research, and you get to... It's cool because you actually get to see quite a lot of different sides of marine science. So one day you're helping out a coral ecologist, the next day you're helping out a fish ecologist, so you get to try a little bit of everything, which was really fun.
Okay, cool. Ferry's just moving out, so you can hear the engines probably roaring somewhere in the background, hopefully. And why come to Australia?
Because you have lots of incredible marine life over here.
So did you just decide to specialise in marine before doing... You came here to do masters?
I did. Yeah. I came here to do my masters, and I grew up watching a lot of Attenborough. Yeah.
So you would probably have done a major in marine over in the UK, or no?
No, my major was in just ecology, and I did a really weird sort of genetics project for my undergraduate kind of dissertation, it was called, and I did it, but it wasn't really what I was very interested in. I found myself being drawn to all these marine science papers, and then all the papers that I liked came from this lab in Western Australia, and I thought, well, I guess it would be a good opportunity to go over there and see what it's like, see if I like it, and I had dual nationality, which makes it easier. I was very lucky.
What, you have some Australian in you?
Yeah, I do.
in you?
In you. Yeah, my parents grew up in Perth.
Oh, okay. And had you ever been here before?
I had on holiday, but, not...
Was it scary coming here?
It was a bit, actually.
Did your parents, they don't still live here?
No, my mum and my brother are in the UK.
Okay.
They come and visit.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, it was a bit scary. It was very lonely for a little bit, actually.
So what, did you get a rent a place, or did you get a dorm at the university or something?
I rented a place in Scarborough, which was super fun.
Yeah.
And I managed to get a job in a bar, just the Bird in Northbridge, which was the best way to make friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
They were like my new family, I guess. They were lovely.
So you get here, and what's the master's all about?
I had to study a bunch of units, which was great because I came here and I was behind everyone. I'd done straight biology, and I was in all these lectures with people who'd grown up with in Perth all their life, and they were really well acquainted with the marine life over here. And I was sitting there I don't even know what the Lewin Current is. I was really, really
There's
quite
a lot of
behind.
local lingo you have to get caught up on. Yeah.
But it was great. I learnt really quickly, and I managed to get a project studying whale sharks up at Ningaloo, which was the dream. And
it's a bit fancy.
It was very fancy.
So
really
are they
fun.
really big?
They are, yes.
Because you see them on TV and they look ginormous, but I'm like, is that some camera effect?
I've seen I've been lucky enough to see a few whale sharks now, and every time I see one, I'm just blown away by how big it is. It still takes me a while to be like, oh yes, they're the world's biggest fish, and they're huge.
So I really want to see one next to like a whale, because I've seen whales out in the wild, but never.
You'll probably be underwhelmed if you see one next to a whale. I don't know if they're
even a small whale.
What kind of
they're all
whale?
Whale sharks, right?
I know. It's confusing. Are they a whale? Are they a shark?
Okay. What did you learn about whale sharks?
I was looking at their population size. So there's one really cool thing about whale sharks is they're covered in this amazing spot and stripe pattern, and the pattern is unique to each individual.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take a photo of that individual in a specific area, it's like a fingerprint, and we can identify that individual over time. And so I used these photos to make a category of individual whale sharks at Ningaloo, and I ran these models to try and see how big the population is and whether the population has been increasing or decreasing over time. And that's really important because they come to we see them at Ningaloo, but that's only for part of the year. Afterwards, they head off to God knows where, and it's really hard to keep tabs on what they're doing, what their populations are doing. So we need to think outside the box and do studies like that to try and get a handle on their ecology and what threats they're facing.
Do they face threats around Australia, or do they go up to like Indonesia and they're at risk of getting their fins cut off or something? Because I know that's a problem.
That is a big problem. Yeah, but maybe closer to home, one of the big problems is boat strikes. And
that would make sense. I've always wondered about that.
Yeah,
I was watching I follow this little feed that's like big machines, and then they show you how big the propellers are on some of these boats, and I'm like, surely these have chopped up a few whales or sharks or something.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
And even the smaller boats are a bit of a threat to whale sharks. We see quite a few of them with scars from propellers, and it's really easy to see a scar from a propeller. You can't mistake it from anything else. So
it's like
exactly,
like Morse code or something.
Definitely, like this parallel series of lacerations, we call it. But we also did a study on that, and we were looking at the individuals over time and the injuries that they were getting over time, and we saw that actually these scars from propellers has been increasing. So it looks like this threat has been increasing at Ningaloo.
There's going to be something crazy this year, because I've seen so many people, because we're in lockdown, no one can go overseas. Everyone that normally goes to Bali 3 times a year is going to Exmouth 3 times a year.
Yeah, so Exmouth was very busy this year. Well, so even though we found that these scars were increasing, we don't know where it's been happening. And because whale sharks are so migratory, like you said, they can go to Indonesia and back. We can't assign blame to a particular group of people, but we all do need to be careful when we're in the water up there. And it's good to raise awareness of this sort of thing for sure, especially in busy years like this one, where Ningaloo has been absolutely pumping.
Yeah. It's possibly... I saw it on your feed, but I saw some crazy maps of like trackers being put on great white sharks.
Yeah.
And just going like almost around the world, like all around the Pacific, which is like basically like going around the world.
Yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? Every time I see tracks like that, I'm just like, how on earth do they manage to do that? How do they navigate?
Do you think they know what they're doing? Are they coming back somewhere? Like
we're trying.
This is what you're trying to do, right? Well, people like you.
This is what the community is trying to do. We're trying to figure out where they go, why they go there, what they're doing, Especially things like whale sharks, they can dive down to 1,800 meters. I mean, what are they doing down there? It's cold, it's dark.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be there, so you wonder.
I noticed there was like that really rich guy, Eric Schmidt. Didn't he bring his boat down here recently to go look in some canyon down south?
Yeah.
Or something?
That was very cool.
And they were looking for sperm whales to see how... Maybe? I can't remember. At least this one article I got sent by my mum, who's went down to Bremer Bay or something, and she saw a bunch of whales, and it just like blew her mind, because she actually saw like some killer whales kill another shark. Another whale, sorry.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And all the birds came in to get all the blood, suck up all the blood, and it was like this crazy ecosystem just came alive with this one kill. Anyway,
that's insane.
It sounded like amazing, but I wasn't there.
That is amazing. That's something I've wanted to do for years, is go to Bremer Bay. Sounds like a very special place. Are we going to get off?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to walk? I was thinking we could walk. But then you can come back.
Thanks.
See ya. Thanks.
Yeah, I have to wonder about Bremer Canyon and what's down there.
We've arrived in Elizabeth Key. Don't say Quay like I've embarrassingly done before.
It smells like donuts.
So we were talking about, all right, but you're doing whale sharks for your masters, and you're doing predator prey.
Yeah, predator prey interactions for the PhD.
How do you decide that? Like, I hear it's like half the difficulty of PhD is deciding what to do.
Yeah, I think it took me the first year of my PhD to really knuckle down what I wanted to do and what questions I wanted to answer, and then figure out how on earth to do it. It's quite a challenging process, but it was great. I can't tell you how I decided to do it. I just thought it was a particularly cool area of ecology, and my supervisors said, sure, we'll let you have a go at this, and we just went from there.
Okay. And so your end of your master's was what? Presenting what you knew about whale sharks?
Yeah.
Or does it fold straight into your PhD?
Well, I was actually lucky enough to get a short-term contract after my master's with DBCA and the Australian Institute of Marine Science to continue the whale shark work, which is where the thing I was talking to you about, the injuries, came in. I got to do that work afterwards, which was nice. And so that also let me have a bit of a break before the...
Sorry, what's the DBC?
Oh, sorry. DBCA is the Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions. It's a big mouthful, but it's basically just parks and wildlife.
Okay. And so they've been tasked to, like, hey, are we effing up these bloody whale sharks in their home?
Well, yeah, they look after Western Australia's like marine parks, and also threatened and iconic animals which whale sharks fall under.
Yeah.
So they're tasked to look after those.
So what was were you living on site then? Or were you still home here looking at data? Most of the time, 95% of the time.
I was still home here looking at data. Unfortunately, my master's was what we call a desktop project. So I had all the photos from tourism operators of the whale shark fingerprints, and I got to sit at my desk and identify them all.
Oh dear.
But I was lucky enough to volunteer on big whale shark trips every year. So I did get to see them for 2 weeks every year, and just posted the hell out of it on Instagram, which is probably what you saw.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'll put your Twitter in the show notes. You definitely should follow her and check out all the stuff she shoots underwater and stuff like this. Just the random... for some reason, before I Googled you, I thought you were studying seahorses, because one photo that I have bookmarked is you, like, this seahorse that you found in the water that looks just like the seaweed around it. And I was like, I wonder if I've seen seahorses all around. I just never knew it because I just assumed it was seaweed.
Oh, that bugs me all the time. I reckon we see so much cool stuff that we don't know is a cool thing at the time. It's just a master of camouflage. It might have been the weedy sea dragon, the long
that sounds right.
seahorse.
Weedy sea dragon.
Yeah, they're amazing. I actually spent about a year trying to find them in Perth because I heard they were around, and I was talking to lots of people about, where they were, what times of year, what to look out for. And yeah, it took me a bloody year, but I found them.
What was the context of you finding one then?
I just thought they were incredible. And
were you recreationally scuba diving and saw one, or were you out looking for them what came first? Were you out scuba diving for fun, or were you out looking for sea dragons?
Oh, it's always for fun, but I guess... I don't know, it just became like this strange mission of mine, because you can only find them in Australia.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, well, I've got to find one before I potentially leave.
That one really... I know whale sharks are amazing, but you see them all the time.
Yeah.
The sea dragon really blew me away, because I'm like, you must... I don't know, where did you see that?
It was a place called Point Perrin, which is near Rockingham.
Yeah, it's local, like you can see.
It is, yeah, and apparently they're off Cottesloe as well, and Port Beach, they're everywhere. But you've just got to get your eye in.
Mm-hmm. So you're recreationally... So how much do you spend time doing stuff for fun?
Well, depends on
because most people, they clock off and they're like, I don't want to think about that thing that I'm studying.
I guess... Yeah, I was having this conversation with someone at the dog park the other day, and they were laughing at me because they asked me what my hobbies were. And I was like, well, I like to go snorkeling and scuba diving. And he called me a workaholic because apparently that's what I do for work. But yeah, I guess I spend so much time in front of the computer that after...
The 95%.
Yes. After a day, writing up all the data, you just want to get in the water and actually remind yourself why you love it.
That's great. Now, going back to the river,
Yes.
which I know you don't really study, but you mentioned it's actually like this really weird weathered summer day. There's some kind of blustery hot wind coming through, and we're walking around Elizabeth Quay, and it's nice and sunny. It's in magic
beautiful.
hour. But you were saying, possibly we weren't recording then, I can't remember, but before we started officially, that you're like, we should be recording underwater because it's perfect conditions for night diving. Now, I remember I didn't do it, but the kids in my school that did biology, one of the excursions was to dive in the Swan River, and they went in it going, this is going to be so boring, why can't we go to the reef and do it? And they came back like they're mind-blowing, going, oh my God, there's all this crazy glow-in-the-dark stuff in the river. Because I went at night or something.
Yeah, the river changes completely at night. It's amazing. If you like seahorses, the river is absolutely chockers with them.
My experience in the Swan River is we had my first primary school I went to, our swim carnival was there. And we had to swim our races were between the jetties at Matilda Bay. And you'd be swimming through jellyfish.
Yeah.
That was the grossest thing ever. And I'm like, that was no way in this day and age that would be allowed to happen. That's probably showing my age, but...
yeah, look, that's the downside of diving in the river is all the gross jellyfish.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of jellyfish either.
Yeah.
I understand they're important and they need to be there, but still not a fan.
Are there any actually dangerous jellyfish in our river? Do you know?
No.
Anything to be worried about?
No, nothing to be worried about. Definitely, in the ocean you get a few zaps. There might be the odd blue bottle,
okay,
but
yes, all right. Yeah.
nothing lethal.
Okay. When you brought up night diving, what were you thinking about? Or were you thinking about in the ocean?
Ocean, yeah, I think ocean night diving is the favourite for me.
Yeah.
My friends catch prawns in the river and that's meant to be pretty fun, but no, I kind of like diving in the river because all the behaviour changes.
Oh, so you do dive in the river?
Sometimes.
Okay.
when you're desperate.
So where do you go in Perth? Where's a diving spot?
At the moment, I'm really into the Omeo Wreck, which is kind of south again. It's just so fun, and they've got lots of structures on there at the moment, lots of cuttlefish and lots of other interesting critters just hanging around under rocks. And there's a lionfish as well, which is very cool.
Okay. So you're doing predator-prey analysis? What are you doing? What are you studying?
I'm studying reef sharks and how they interact with other fish.
What is a reef shark?
Sorry.
Or is that
They are the smaller sharks you'd see on a coral reef, things like black tips, white tips, grey reefs. So smaller than the big apex ones, like smaller than tiger sharks and
you
great
can
whites.
swim around them and not freak out too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Some reef sharks are a bit cheeky, I think, more so than the apex ones.
Have you been bitten?
No, I have not. In touch wood, I will never get bitten. That doesn't look like a fun experience.
I assume you're not the person who has, is it thalassophobia or
Is that a fear of sharks?
It's like the fear of like deep water, like you get in going, oh my God, this is crazy how much stuff is below me.
No, I quite like blue water diving where you just don't know how deep it is and you have no concept of, whether that fish down there is a really small fish that's close or a really big shark that's far away. But I do know some marine scientists who are terrified of blue water diving and they get very uncomfortable out in the blue, prefer to be by the shelter of a reef.
Yeah. Marine scientists terrified of diving?
Well, just out in the open ocean.
Oh, okay. All right. Specifically. Okay. Yeah.
Specifically out there. Yeah, that would be unfortunate, wouldn't it? Marine scientists who's scared of diving.
I've definitely had that kind of woo feeling at certain places, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I've never really put myself to the test to see if I could.
The only time I did get scared was when when a big sandbar shark kind of emerged from the blue to come check us out, because I thought it was quite small and then it got closer and closer and bigger and bigger.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay, yes, that was a little bit exciting.
Do you reckon I've lost my ticket here? What's the chances?
Oh, no.
I think I saw you recently. You went to somewhere called like the Rolly Shoals.
I did. I went to the Rolly Shoals.
What are the Rolly Shoals?
The Rolly Shoals is a magical coral reef atoll in northwest Australia. It's very remote, so I think we have to go up to Broome and then you have to hop on a boat and steam 30 hours out towards Indonesia.
Yeah.
And you'll come across these really remote, beautiful shoals. And
what is a shoal? I assume they're not an island.
No, it's oh gosh, that's embarrassing. I can't remember.
When you posted it, I had to look up, I'd heard the name before, but it wasn't until you posted it that I actually was like, you know what, I should Google that.
Yeah, and apparently I should too.
And then I still didn't really understand, are they islands or are they just reefs that
I
are
think they're just
near
reefs.
the surface of the water?
Maybe it's a reef where because there's atolls, which I know is just reef. And then there's a shoal, which maybe the landmass is submerged. I have to Google and correct myself.
But there's no actual islands out there. You're on a boat basically all the time?
There is land in the middle of two of them, but it's very small, just like a pile of sand, basically.
Did you get off onto it? Plant a flag or something?
We did, because we were lucky enough to do there's some birds that nest there. They're very rare, and we were surveying them and making...
Why were you there?
I was there for work.
Oh, work. That's cool.
Yeah.
Jeez, you have the dream job. Do you? Or do you like a job?
No, this is my dream
Yeah,
job.
okay.
I love my job. I'm lucky enough to work in West Australia's marine parks at the moment, and the Rolly Shoals is one of them.
Is that different to the DBC?
No, I'm working for the DBCA.
Okay, yeah.
And the Rolly Shoals is one of the marine parks, and we were out there surveying the coral and the fish communities and the invertebrates and all the cool stuff. And it was pretty magical. The coral was looking spectacular. The place was bursting with fish and sharks. It was, very special.
Been stuck in a storm?
Oh, yeah. There's been a few storms.
A few storms?
There's been a few storms. There's been many a seasick evening and morning.
So you get seasick?
I do, yeah, quite badly.
Just naturally or in really bad water?
The first few days on any boat are always a bit queasy for me.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, you do find your sea legs. That's something that happens.
On smaller boats or bigger boats, or is it all boats?
It tends to be on smaller boats. Small boats in really choppy weather, that'll do me. That's me done. Do you get seasick?
I have done, but I can never tell you what triggered it, because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because I'm like, oh crap, I'm getting seasick. I didn't think I would get seasick.
I know, and once that enters your mind, it's hard to shake it.
Yeah, It's like a mind virus.
It is. I think the reason I get seasick for work is because you can't just sit there and look at the horizon and feel better.
You're trying to do stuff.
You've got to do stuff or type on a computer. And it's not pleasant, but part of the job.
Do you snorkel, dive, or both?
I do both. I'm trying to get to be a better free diver.
What's that?
Free diving is like scuba diving, but without the tank. So you get really good at holding your breath, and you're able to...
That's the one where everyone dies, right?
Well, if you're...
It's like the... what do they call it? The wing gliding of... what do they call it? Wing... What's that thing where you wear a wingsuiting, and everyone... Like, every top person in the world has died, basically. And then you become the top person by the top person above you dying, like by hitting a bridge or something.
Yeah, look, I'm not aiming to be that good. If I could hold my breath in for like 2 minutes, I think that would be good. Yeah, I just quite like the feeling of snorkeling, and I think it would be quite nice to not have the bulky tank behind you.
Do you do the Wim Hof method?
The Wim Hof, what's that?
Method?
Is that where you like...
It's about like, practicing holding your breath for long periods of time.
Yeah, I do try to do that if there's like ads on, or there's if I'm talking to someone, I just sometimes just hold my breath until they stop and see if I can make it.
God.
Which is probably a strange behaviour. Definitely. Ticket number 3.
I can't believe this. I guess this is good drama for the podcast. For people playing at home, I'm buying a ferry ticket to get back on the ferry to get back to where we came from. And I've already bought 2, and I've lost them. Because I didn't put it in the top pocket, like Emily recommended. What is your dream destination? Like, let's say the COVID thing went away and you won the lotto. Where would you go to dive or snorkel or...
That's a really good question. I've always wanted to go to Raja Ampat on a liveaboard and just...
Liveaboard?
Yeah, where you basically live on board a boat, and all you do is go diving.
You might have to explain this. That's not a place you just said?
Raja Ampat is in Indonesia.
Okay, that's the location.
But basically, you just get to go live on a boat and go dive in some spectacular places. Sounds like the dream to me.
You live in a boat and go around the islands?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you do that when you were in Indonesia at that time? before?
I did. I did for a bit, and it was a dream come true. But I don't know. Raja just seems to be a very special place. There's lots of amazing coral and sharks, and I'd really like to see it.
Is this like a realistic thing that you're probably going to do anyway if you don't win lotto?
Marine biologists don't know that much.
Okay. All right. So this is expensive. Hobby.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it would be expensive.
You can't get a job with some Indonesian government body to.
Trying.
Okay, you're trying.
No, joking.
But you will try.
I
maybe.
will try to get there one day. Maybe a research proposal will come up.
Okay.
It's either that or the Galapagos to see the schooling hammerheads.
Yeah.
They have like hundreds and hundreds of them that just swim by.
Man, that looks insane.
It does look
Are you
insane.
obsessed with sharks now, or is there something else? When you're done with this, you're going to go do something. Oh, I'm going to get into these sea dragons, or
I am dabbling in the world of algae and corals and seagrass and that sort of thing, and it's actually pretty cool. So maybe it's not all about sharks. Maybe there's other stuff out there too, but sharks are pretty cool.
Getting back to your PhD, you post these photos of I don't know, like fake sharks in the water. What's that about?
So that is how I studied interactions between sharks and other fish, because basically I was interested in whether sharks can create fear in other fish.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty hard to observe in the wild because sharks are very uncooperative. They're not going to swim transects for you or scare certain types of fish.
Yeah.
And if you were to be there in person and try to record interactions between sharks and other species, like humans are terrifying, so my presence would probably ruin everything.
Yeah, it's the quantum effect where observing changes the result, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we ended up using these life-size models of sharks and other non-threatening species to run experiments and see, in the presence of these threatening models, do fish change their behaviour? Do they eat less? Are they less willing to travel far from shelter? And turns out they were actually really effective decoys. The sharks really did fool the fish.
Okay.
They really did scare them. We had a remora trying to attach to the shark, which is what we see in the natural world, so that was a really good sign.
So you set up like a webcam or a GoPro that's filming while you're not there?
Yeah, and we set up some remote cameras.
Is that what you're doing, that 95%, just staring at video footage?
Yep.
We have a secret.
Looking at very tiny, nuanced behavioural interactions and
wow,
and counting the number of times that fish will try to eat some bait items in the presence of a shark, in the presence of no shark, that sort of thing.
Do you guys have to use machine learning now? And that's the buzz thing?
I would love to use machine learning. That would make my job so much easier.
All my PhD friends seem to be, it's like, we've got to use machine learning now to run algorithms over video and count how many trees there are in this forest and stuff like that.
It would be so cool. And there are definitely people who have put in some great proposals to do that sort of thing. So you could just go sample a reef and take lots of videos, and then the machine learning algorithm would pick out fish, pick out how big it is and what sort of behaviour is it doing. It would be amazing. We could
imagine they can go look at those unique markings on the whale shark and track them pretty well.
Yes, definitely. That's another thing I'm trying to get off the ground as well, but time, money.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds really interesting. Recently in WA, maybe a few years ago now, there was this whole anti-shark campaign, like
the shark cull? Or?
The shark cull, yeah. People were like, let's get the bloody sharks.
Yeah.
Because they're eating too many people, even though most of these people were in the shark's home. Were you involved in this? What was your thoughts on this? Are you even allowed to talk about this? Is it too controversial in your... Yeah.
It's not something I study, so I won't weigh into it, but there was a lot of attacks that year, and I understand the knee-jerk reaction, but culling sharks from a scientific point of view isn't going to do anything because they're highly migratory. So if you catch a shark, you don't know if it's the one that was responsible for the attack, for example. And even if you do remove one shark from a system, you're not going to stop another one coming in.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's going to achieve much if you want to reduce shark population numbers. And there's lots of people looking at other intelligent ways to reduce interactions between humans and sharks. There's drone surveys that are going on. There's also personal preventative measures like Shark Shield. There's lots of studies on that now that show that it does reduce the interest of the shark. I mean,
and is that like putting out ultrasonic things?
It's a strong electromagnetic field, so sharks can detect electromagnetic fields, which they use to For a few things. One of them is like to detect the heartbeat of prey at close ranges, that sort of thing. But it's quite a sensitive device, for lack of a better word. So if you put a big electromagnetic field out there, it overwhelms the sense.
Yeah.
And the shark most of the time will just go and swim away. That's the idea.
All right. You use these?
I do actually for work.
Right,
if
so you don't get eaten.
Yeah. Well, like for example, I was out sampling seagrass, and there was a sea lion colony a couple 100 meters away, and it was that time of year, and I thought, probably best to wear a shark shield.
Oh, cool.
Just even for your own peace of mind.
Yeah, because I imagine if it just takes my mum saw the ecosystem reacts to one kill when they smell the blood and all these other creatures come in. I imagine the sharks can smell the blood coming in and.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or is that a myth that sharks smell blood?
They do have a really good sense of smell.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how sensitive. Maybe they can.
You've been observing like the WA conditions for 8 years now, like working with the department. Like, have you seen any changes, in terms of pollution or global warming, like over that 8 years? Have you noticed?
That's a good question.
Are you noticing this stuff firsthand?
Maybe I'm more aware of it, but I did remember the heat wave we had in 2010, 2011. I remember seeing the aftermath of that when I first got here.
Well, and there was all these bleaching.
There was some bleaching, there was some die-offs, that sort of thing. And so that was interesting. And I also saw the Scott Reef after it bleached in 2016, I think, which is a reef up north again. And when I did my field work in the Great Barrier Reef, that was pretty badly bleached as well. So, yeah.
What does bleaching mean?
That's when the coral is stark white. So coral has these, it's called zooxanthellae, which are little algae that help it make food, basically. And when it gets too hot, it expels the little algae and it loses its colour. Okay. And it's basically stressed out of its mind. Okay.
And so it's not completely dead?
No, but if it stays bleached for a while, it will die.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So I've seen some bleaching events, which has been quite sad.
But you guys don't have to deal with, like, fishing lines and stuff with your work?
Yeah, I have noticed that, especially at a few, I think it's called Ammo Jetty. I remember I was doing a night dive there.
Okay.
And it was lovely. You saw all the cool things and saw some eels. And then, right at the end, there was a dead juvenile tiger shark.
Oh, no.
And, heaps of fishing line around. And so that's never nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah, there was we were speaking earlier about the kind of interesting creatures you get swimming up the river, and there's some dolphins that live in the river or love to hang out here, and a couple of them died within a short period of time. I think because a mother, like maybe last year or the year before, because they all got tangled up in fishing wire. Oh. And I think maybe the mother died and it had a calf, and so the calf eventually died as well because it wasn't getting fed. I don't know, bring it down a bit.
No, it is sad. I mean, you do notice the degrading status of the world's oceans. It's hard to ignore, especially if you're reading all about it every day and seeing all the plastic pollution. But I think it's kind of your moral obligation as a researcher to stay positive about these sort of things and just believe that, if you keep on putting the message out there, people are going to respond and they're going to pick up on it, and, eventually we'll all be on renewables and hopefully before it's too late.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, we made it back to the other side of the river.
We did.
On the ferry. I'm going to check if my ticket is in my pocket this time. No? What am I doing with these tickets? Am I just letting them blow away? I'm sure they're in my bag. I'm putting somewhere in my bag.
You'll find like all 4 of them.
Yeah. And there's someone's dropped their lollipop.
Oh no. How did you lose that?
It must be in my pocket, surely. I'm going crazy. I am just having one of those days.
Oh.
Ticket machines not working for Emily to scan off her card. But we're back on Main Street Jetty.
We made it.
We made it.
3 tickets later.
I guess I wanted to ask, maybe to finish up, like, what are your top recs for people in Perth if they want to see some cool stuff, like, locally? Like, I know I've been not scuba diving, but snorkeling on some reefs in around Rottnest, where they actually had underwater, like, guided, they had some plaques in the water that you could follow around the reef.
I guess my top spots are, I love Point Perrin in Rockingham. That's just amazing, but you've got to get it on the right day.
Okay, what is it there? What is in Point Parent? I went on a school camp there, but we didn't go snorkeling.
So there are lots of those weedy sea dragons that we were talking about before. There's just lots of other really cool critters like big rays and just heaps of fish and interesting swim-throughs. But you've got to go on a day when it's not very windy and when it's been flat for about a week, and then it's just absolutely perfect and magic.
Oh, so all the sand and that settled down a bit. Is that the idea?
Yep, everything has to line up. But yeah, it's definitely worth the wait. I also like Medham's Pool.
I don't think I've ever been there. I've seen it on Instagram. Everyone loves it.
Oh, it's amazing. My friend went the other day and she saw a little Port Jackson shark.
Oh, wow.
Which is very cute. They're not dangerous at all. They couldn't bite you if they tried.
My parents retired to a beach house down south, just between Bunbury and Bustleton, and the beach there isn't that amazing. They do have a little bit of a reef going, but you don't go there for snorkeling. The surfers do use it for surfing. But you do sometimes you go down, and then one day I saw this. I was walking the dog, and the dog starts barking at this thing, and I'm like, oh, is that you get dolphins all the time. But I'm like, oh, that looks like a weird fin popping out of the water. It's like it's hairy or something. And eventually I realised it's actually like a seal, with its nose that looked like a fin, like a dolphin, but it had whiskers sticking out. I'm like,
oh, no way.
Yeah. And then my mum and dad see whales down there and all sorts of creatures that come and go, But I guess if you're in one spot a long time, you get to a feel for all the different things you see in that.
Definitely. Oh, that's another good spot, actually. You reminded me. Swim with the sea lions at Jurien Bay.
Jurien Bay. Okay.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Have you ever been to the penguins on Penguin Island?
I haven't. No, I don't know why.
I've never been either, even though it's just around the corner. It's one of those things.
One of those things. Maybe I'll try to go this weekend.
So what's that? Top spots? Oh, and you said the Omeo Wreck?
The Omeo Wreck, yes.
Yeah.
That's magic.
And you can snorkel around that?
You can. There's
for regular people? Or you have to be pro?
No. The wreck is 10 metres from shore. Yeah. It's very shallow.
Is that the one with the C.A.Y. O'Connor statue?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've been there, yeah. I haven't been in the water. I just took my dog there.
Oh, you should. It's great.
Yeah, okay. So what? Medham's Pool, Point Parent. But what's the Point Parent?
Point Parent has the weedy sea dragons. Yeah, and
so
dolphins.
Is it just like fields of seagrass? Is that what it is?
There's algae, there's a bit of seagrass, but it's just typical Perth. It's just beautiful temperate reef.
Okay.
Just crawling with critters.
Didn't even know. See, this is the stuff you need to know. What about outside of Perth? If you want to, in lockdown, while international travel's dead, where's the best place to go on WA?
Definitely the Ningaloo Reef.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ningaloo Reef is one of my favourite places in the world. You've got the whale sharks, you got the manta rays, you've got everything. Everything good is at the Ningaloo Reef.
Okay. Where would you stay?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Coral Bay on one side of the Gulf.
Yeah, so I was recently at Coral Bay for a field trip, and that was pretty spectacular as well. It's great snorkeling inside the reef, and then I guess...
Have you been out to near... What's the other place up there? Maybe with Monkey Mire, and there's that big sort of sanctuary. Shark Bay. And they have dugongs and stuff.
Yeah, I was on a field trip to Shark Bay in March, just as the lockdown was happening.
Did you get to see a dugong?
I did from the boat, not from the water. They're so shy.
Okay, yeah.
And the visibility was terrible.
All right. Okay.
So we knew there was stuff out around, but we couldn't see it, and it was a bit creepy, actually.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. No, Shark Bay's an incredible place.
One more question I had before we go.
Okay.
What's the weirdest thing you've seen on your little webcams? Have you seen any odd bits? I'm sure you posted some of them on Twitter, but I'm blanking.
That's a really good question.
Do fish get curious about it and come up and look?
Fish get so curious. I've seen so many fish trying to eat the cameras, but that's boring. I think the coolest thing I've ever seen this is actually on one of my friend's cameras, it's not mine, was an octopus. So it came down onto this bait bag, and it was just actually, I want this. I don't want any other fish to get this. So it started punching the other fish with its tentacles.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're meant to be really smart.
They're so clever.
I've actually stopped eating octopus because it freaks me out that they're kind of smart. I don't know why. I don't know why we can eat dumb fish but not smart.
No, they're super intelligent. They can get out of jars. They can make friends with people for movies. And
would you ever do that as your next...
Octopus?
Your postdoc?
I do have a soft spot for octopus,
okay.
Yeah. But no, I think sharks win it for me, I'm afraid.
Awesome. Well, where can people find your stuff? I know you have a public Twitter feed, but I don't know if your Instagram's public.
Yeah, I think my Instagram is public. I'm at Emily Kate Lester on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's where I post about my research and all things Sharky. And I'm on Instagram. I think I'm at Emily Lester, but that's mainly just my dog and occasional pictures of the field.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. And here's the cool thing with this whole spooky algorithms. You follow Emily on Twitter, you start getting recommended all these other cool science people. And now I follow a whole bunch of plant botanists, and probably from following you for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I know a few botanists. You might be
probably all UWA mates that you know.
That's it, yeah.
Do you have any messages you want to get out there? Do you have anything to promote? Is there some...
I guess...
Clean up your fishing line.
Clean up your fishing line is a very big one.
Yeah.
Reduce your plastic use. It's something to think about. Just the more you think about it, the more you actually put those thoughts into action. And also just get out into the water in Perth and enjoy it, because it's amazing.
And you will learn to appreciate it more. Like once you know what's there, you go, oh crap, I do want to care about this stuff because I know it exists. If you don't know it exists, you don't care about it,
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, thanks so much for coming on for my weird fairy circumference of the river podcast, Emily.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to hear what happens with this.
what it'll sound like.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. This has been fun.
No worries. Thank you.
Cool.
Cheers. Oh, I found one.
Oh, you found a ticket.
I bet the other two are in there somewhere.
I bet you'll find all three.